but it was a guy that I know, and I tried out for a part in one of his films, and I killed it. Like I did really good, and he said I did perfect, everything's good, but I didn't get the part because he said he can't stop looking at me and seeing the stupid characters I do, and I'm like. But that's a whole different thing. He's like, but he's
that's
like,
ridiculous.
You don't think, yeah.
That's like saying I like Leonardo DiCaprio, but I can't get over the character he played in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he plays a mentally challenged person.
Or he
can't be in Titanic.
Yeah. I used Jake Gyllenhaal as an example. He's not Bubble Boy and everything,
exactly.
And that's the
Donnie
thing.
Darko.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he done something. He's one of the greats.
That's the sign of a great actor is you can shift.
Yeah. And but that got me thinking. It kind of messed with me a little bit, and a lot of depression, some of the stuff, because I've been getting to where it was seasonal depression is like the worst during that time frame with all that stuff. I'm like the worst, and that's why I'm so excited because when it's light later,
daylight savings today,
and so it's like it's got me pumped up because it's like I go to work, as soon as I go to work and I look outside, it's dark and it's like just like gloomy and that feeling and everything, and it's like once you get used to the sleep schedule being fixed and everything, you're just kind of like and then you kind of get into it. It's like, oh, there's still some daylight. You don't have to rush it. And then some of the times between 5:30 and around 8, before it starts getting kind of darkish, depending upon when it is, some of that's best filming time. Like the way that the lighting is, the way that is in like whenever at certain times you don't have to worry about so many locusts and bugs and stuff, making so much noises. But still, it's a good time frame. And I try to take that and. Before, like I was saying earlier, it being like because people get confused. Like it's kind of sad. Oh, I'm sad. I'm depressed. It's like it's okay to be sad and not be depressed. You don't have to be.
In a lot of ways.
And people are taking those emotions and getting them kind of confused. And whenever I got to, because I was embarrassed for a long time whenever, they're like, oh yeah, you're depressed and everything. I'm like, I don't want people thinking I'm depressed. I'm this sad guy. But then I start seeing friends and start seeing people suffer and start seeing people go through this stuff. And I always felt like for the longest time, I was like, if none of this stuff works out within the entertainment side, I want to be like some kind of counselor, talk to people, be there for people. Because I was always really good with talking to people and, trying to make people feel better because I'm a people pleaser and, I'm a people person, but I'm also like, I don't like to see people down. I don't like to see people upset. I want to help everybody I can. And whenever I would see this, I'd reach out to them. I was like, hey, you're a great person and try to do what I can. Not trying to make myself sound great, but that's just my heart. I have to. I want to do this for people. And then I start seeing all those things, and then I start feeling sad. And then there was times whenever I'd feel like lonely because I'm like, there's nobody out here, And then that's what I started doing, and I started seeing that. I was like, man, people could be happy, I got to make people happy somehow. And I see, I know what it's like when people are sad. So if I can make them happy, so I started doing the stupid stuff with the videos, started doing that, and I was just being done with it. But then I started taking it a little bit more serious, started getting them, they started kicking off, started doing really well. And I was like, I'll do that for a little bit and then stop and then quit, just to have fun with it. So then I can get the attention of people so that whenever I make my hour-long movie or I make a, 2-hour-long video or whatever, they'll want to sit there. They'll know what I'm worthy of. They'll know what I would be able to do. And then I got to the point where I was just kind of like, I felt pressure because I was like, I have to be funny. I have to do this. I have to do this stuff. And then it didn't.
And that's really
funny.
hard too if you're feeling depressed.
Exactly.
Like, God, I gotta try to be funny right now. Like,
And then
I don't even want to go outside.
Exactly. And it's like when that's the thing about it. It's like something because there's been times whenever I've taken a couple of weeks off, and I'd get so many messages. People like, hey, where you at? You still do videos? You still doing? And I was like, and it's hard to be like, sorry, I'm depressed. I can't do it right now. Sorry, sorry, I can't. I'm not. Somebody who can like just jump up and do that. And then people are like, oh, okay, well, but then I didn't want to be that guy who's like, I'm depressed right now. I'm
and then
sad.
You don't want people to be like, well, let's not ask him to go because he's depressed. Or they think of it as like a handicap.
Yeah, and that's what.
Which in a way it is kind of because it does stop you from doing things sometimes, but you have to try to push through it. And it's easier said than done a lot of times, but a lot of times that's the way to get past it is to go out and be active or even just going for a walk. But
then whenever you're sad, you're sad and what it's like to be sad. Was it Robin Williams was one of them said that? It's like you do the things. However, I don't know exactly.
I remember it came out after he died.
It
was really sad to read because
talking about how he said
sometimes the happiest people.
Yeah, because what it's like for the sad people. Like you've been there, so you know what it's like to that kind of stuff. And I can try to compare myself to him by any means, but and it's kind of
concept is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like when you're sad and you do stuff like that, you want to help people because you know how sad they are, with that depression when they actually, the people who actually deal with depression and then there's some people that have way worse cases. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm the most sad person.
People will surprise you.
Exactly.
Just when you think you got it the worst, even like with my issues, I'm in support groups online and I see people that they can't even leave their house.
Oh,
and, at least you know, I may not be able to do everything I want to do right now, but I'm doing this, and I'm doing this podcast, and that's awesome. And like being able to create content and put it out, and you know, I'm not able to play in a band right now, but in a way, I'm kind of doing my own show, and I can put it out, and hopefully, you know, people will listen to it. You know, I didn't have podcasts when I was a kid, and if I had something like that when I was getting bullied, and say I watch someone like you, and then I get to hear them on a podcast, and they feel just like me, or maybe they had gotten bullied, it would have inspired me a lot. I didn't really have that. Like in the mid 90s, I mean, I didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thing is, you know, this is new. Clearly this is the first one. But with even just like my things that I build and stuff, like I hope that, you know, somebody, because I don't want to post everything and people just think that I'm making something and I'm putting it out there to try to make it be like, look what I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't do this, but I'm
like
doing it.
Setting up as inspiration.
I want people to see that, and then even if they're not going to build, because I know what I build is weird to some extent. I mean, I build dumpsters with trash.
A weird collection up there.
But you know, I build it because it's fun and it's like meditative, and it helps my anxiety, it calms me down. I can put a movie on and build something, hang out with my daughter. She'll be drawing next to me while I'm building one of those. And you know, if someone sees that, they're like, you know, it might inspire them to do the weird little thing that they've wanted to do, whether that's like, you know, build a deck or you know, just anything. It can be any little thing, and maybe it kind of it just kind of sparks something. So I'm really hoping that this podcast will do that on a lot of other levels, you know, 'cause I'm planning on having a bunch of different people on from all different walks of life. I mean, I'm really open-minded. I'm not, I mean, unless you're like racist or like you know, just like a terrible person, I'm pretty accepting of most people. Like I'm not homophobic. I'm not, you know, I'm accepting of everybody. I'm planning on having all different types of people on to talk about their struggle, you know, as well as like what they're doing now. And like,
because that kind of opens out the eyes too, because I mean, I've been there. It's like when you, and then that kind of ties back on what we were talking about with the whole having, you know, do you put a bunch of personal stuff on your page, or do you put everything in? I don't want to get preachy on mine, but you know, I'd like people to know some of the things that, you know, what I'm doing and what you know, kind of what I stand for and what I'm trying to do. But also, you know, I don't want to take light away from like the comedy side of it, you know. And I'll post serious stuff, like, you know, sometimes because, you know, with all the great stuff, you know, the amazing people and amazing supporters that absolutely love every single one of them. Because I mean, I do keep up with a handful, and there's a lot of them that I you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without a lot of them. You know, a lot of the support from everybody because of, you know, how much I've, you know, I don't want to say I want to give up, but when you deal with that kind of stuff, you're just like, I'm not good enough. Like, what makes me think that I can?
You don't know where to go.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
just need some guidance.
Exactly.
Just that little boost of positivity.
Exactly, and there's so many who's so supportive, you know, and you get to that point where you're like, you know, I can do this and I can do that, and it's all through everybody, you know. But I also want people to be like, oh, there's a reality, and there's some people, you know, there's some like, you know, like everybody sees y'all happy all the time, but then when you have those bad days, and you know, there's, like I said, I think I was talking on David's podcast, you know, whenever you know, there's times when I go through this, like, you know, like dark times, you know, sometimes I can pull out some good humor on it, and there's sometimes that like I would have to like, oh man, I have to go get some milk from the store. And I'd go, and then I have to basically, I don't want to say I have to put on a character, but I can't be like, hey guys, sorry, I can't, you know. And when people are like, hey, you're the guy from the videos, you know, hey man, can it, you know, and
it feels good that they recognize you, so you don't want to be rude. Exactly. And be like, oh man, they watched that.
Yeah, and there was one time that happened, and I was like down, and I did not want to go anywhere, but like I needed something. I had to go get something. I had to do something. It was something important. And I was out in public, and this guy and this girl recognized me, and they wanted a picture with me. And like I just was like, I didn't do any, like, I mean, I don't say I fixed anything up, but like my hair was all bad, which my hair looks bad all the time. But I just was like, didn't even care about what I was wearing.
Makeup on.
Yeah, didn't have no makeup on. I didn't take care. I didn't do anything. And I
nails
was just,
weren't done.
I just looked horrible.
Just a hot mess.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't shave. Like, and it was like my weird patchy stuff, you know. And I was like standing there, and this guy, I mean, they were saying, can we get a picture? And I'm like, no, sorry guys, you know. So I was like, yeah, you know. And I was like that, and I remember like you know, they were like, they even showed me what the picture looked like afterward, and my face was like, you know, and I was just kind of like, you could tell I was sad, you know, and it just looked pathetic. And after they looked at the picture and I looked at me and everything, it was just, they were like, oh well, thanks, appreciate it, man, you know, keep on the good work, you know, with the videos. And they walked away, and it was so awkward when they walked away, because I'm an awkward person anyways. But when they walked away, I was like, oh man, and I just felt horrible, and it made
Yeah.
that 10 times worse because it's like they didn't deserve that. They didn't do anything to me. It was my, you know, and it's like I got to figure something out and try to balance and distinguish the difference between, you know, me being, you know, me and then me being that sad guy. But like, what can I do to fix that to where it can't happen? You know, and I'm not saying, oh, I can take pills to make it work or smoke all the time or do things like that.
Yeah.
But then there's also maybe this kind of stuff or like the things I do can help out because one of the things I was going to get into earlier, I had a guy a while back whenever I started getting into anything, and because of his case, I won't really name any names, but he was a pretty successful filmmaker with some of the stuff, not anything, you know, like on Hollywood, but he was in that scene, you know, the independent scene, you know, he was doing stuff like that in different areas, and I kind of wanted to look at him like as a mentor, you know, different things, and follow his way because I was a fan of his work. I liked some of the stuff he did, and he was locally. He'd travel around while he was down, and he, you know, he was like trying to make things work here when he was trying to film. I basically hung out with him and did things like that, and I saw this like glamorous life that he had, you know, all the stuff that he would do and the things he would talk about and how like just great everything was, and I was like, I want that, you know, I want to do those things, and not just the glamorous life that he had, but the things that he was doing with his film and how happy he was. And I seen him in interviews and different things he was doing and just like great things about it. And then I hung out with him, and then like we got in his car, and it was like this like car that like it took a couple of times to start up. Okay, I'm not gonna judge. He spends all his money in equipment. Then I found out he like borrows his equipment. He didn't have any, you know, we went to go eat and he was just like ordering off the dollar menu, you know, and it's not all about money, but it's like in your mind you see this.
It's more of a what do you call it? Like a facade.
Yeah, exactly. Because like in the images, he was like popping bottles, and he's like wearing all this nice stuff, and he's got all this stuff, you know. And then it's like whenever I saw him on something, and he's like, you know, and I'm not saying that I want to become that successful, so I could be like, oh, I want to wear a Rolex and have those nice cars. It's not that, but it's like when you see that and see it come along with the art, with the process.
Well, knowing that came from doing something you wanted to do.
Exactly.
You could put that money into other things.
Exactly, and that's
family,
life-changing.
house.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to buy a $1,000 watch. You could put that into something.
Exactly.
You know, a vacation or something.
Yeah,
like
and I mean,
that.
and that's all from. And my thing is like, you know, I'm in a film. You know, filmmaking, everything is amazing to me, and I love it, and I love the art because I always want to get into people's heads. I always want to figure out what our people are thinking.
Yeah.
Filmmakers, you're able to see a vision of their world in their filmmaking. They do that, you know, and that's always been my fascination, you know. And I saw the way he did stuff, and I saw those things. I'm like, I was amazed by it. But then I started like seeing like, and then he's like, and then like on the way somewhere, you know, after, and I was like, oh, don't worry, I got it. You know, I paid for his meal and everything, you know, and you know, we hung out.
His dollar burger.
Yeah, exactly. I got that for him. I was like, no, man, and I was kind of shocked. I was like, no, go ahead and get something more, you know.
Get two of them.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. I guess, you know, and I'm like, you know, we're
you can actually get a drink with it.
Exactly, and he's like, I'll have water, you know, and you know, and I'm like and I'm like put off, and then he gets on the phone, and we're, you know, I'm like riding with him, and you know, he gets a phone call, and he's like, hello, and you know, it's just like, please don't do this, please not right now, you know, and it's like his ex-wife, and she's like trying, you know, and it's like all this, and you're like. But then it's just like, and right then and there, I was sitting there thinking about, I was like, man, maybe not everything's all exactly what it seems to be, like what people do that, and it was kind of a harsh reality because, like I said, I was a fan of his. You know, I mean, I still respect the guy, still a good guy. I don't even know if he's still doing his stuff, but at that time frame, you know, I was like, you see that, and then you start seeing the reality of it, and then you start seeing all these things about these people. And then it's like you start seeing that with celebrities too. And then people are like, they have this image, and then you start seeing, you know, not just like the whole, because people are like, oh, I know, I was talking to a friend like that. He was like, oh, they're like whenever celebrities wear makeup and they don't. It's not the same thing. It's like, you know, it's similar, but not the, I mean, yeah, that you just see that.
A lot of that social media in general. It's like people post their best self on social media, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
But I mean, who's going to post them at their worst?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I made something and it sucked. Here it is.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm not going to put that out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
But to be able to do something like this, or to be able to find another platform to be able to say, hey, you know, this is what the reality is, because I get people all the time say, hey, you're my inspiration. I want to be just like you. Yeah. And it makes my heart feel good. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. There's people out there who say that. Yeah. But then they're like, oh, I want to be everything like you. But what are they really seeing? And I'm not like, oh, this is a harsh reality because I got to do this. But it's like they like, I want the people who can see. Like, I got a person one time, whenever I was feeling like quitting and just being done, and it wasn't because I was going to give up. It was just because I felt pressure. I couldn't focus. I dabble too much. I get into, like, filmmaking is my number one, but I got back into a couple of my buddies. We were trying to get our band going back up again and doing something. You know, I started picking up that, I don't know if you saw my spray paint art. I started picking up and doing.
Oh, yeah.
I started doing that. I got back into painting. I get back into drawing my comic stuff. I'm doing my cartoon stuff.
I kind of do that
doing
too.
my series.
I joke about having too many hobbies.
Exactly.
Like,
you know,
So I had to, like, kind of not abandon them,
Yeah.
but like I just put a couple of them off for a little bit.
Yeah.
And focus on doing like just a few of them.
Exactly,
Spread myself a little bit.
Yeah,
too
and
thin.
that's what I do. Like keep myself busy with it, and writing
I
my
get
films,
bored
writing my
so
series.
easy.
That's my thing too. And it's like
I
I
hate
go to
being
one to
bored.
the other, and then doing my recipe for disaster episodes, and then my vlog, and then doing my stand up.
Well,
stuff
then when
and
you're
doing all
not
that.
making that, you're thinking about it.
Exactly.
So people may not see that, but you're
Mhm.
like, no. The wheels are turning.
Yeah.
There's a hamster in here just going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And it doesn't stop.
And that's one of the reasons why I took this time off, so I could just focus and be like, okay, I need to sit down and say, this is the day I need to sit down and get all this stuff out, and then the next day I need to get all this stuff out and figure out exactly what I'm doing, because I want to be able to like. And I think that in that experience with the whole with that audition, when doing that, and I keep calling it audition, but technically it kind of was, with that, and then sitting there, it's like, is that what people see me as? Because I get people that walk up to me like, there's that guy from the dumb videos. He wears wigs and dresses up a girl and shakes his ass. I'm like, I don't want people to say that that's like me. It's like when they define me, I'm like, oh, that's the guy who makes funny videos on Facebook, or there's that, like, people were calling me a Viner. Oh, there's that guy who's a Viner.
Yeah.
I never made a Vine in my life. And they're like, oh, there's that guy this, and then it's like I hear all these different things, but then I sit there and say, okay, all these different who I am to all these people, but then when I look at myself, I want to be like, who am I? And you don't always figure that out. You can't find yourself automatically, but when you define yourself,
figuring that
exactly,
out, and I'm 37 years old.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a while to try to do that, and try to figure it out. But then when you like, can you define yourself and have like a little bit of something? Like, are you, it's like, okay, like from what I know of you, it's like, it's like, can you be like, oh, I'm, my name's Chris, and I make little, like little dumpsters, and I ride my bike, I'm a family guy, and I, doing this podcast. Is that what defines you, or if there's more to it than that, or if there's going to be, it's like, hey, I'm that guy who, is all about the bike trail and doing the bike stuff, and that's it.
That's how a lot of people know me, and I kind of don't want that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like since all this stuff that has happened with me in the last few months, like the stuff that I cared a lot about before, I don't care about as much.
Yeah.
That I was putting all this time in, and that's one of them. And it's not that I don't care about the trails, because obviously I do.
Oh yeah, but it's just like you just don't want to be defined as that.
I want them to happen, but I spent so much time doing that, and I kind of stepped away from other things, and I've kind of had to learn to not do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Spend more time with my daughter, or just do stuff like that, and not let just one thing consume me. And
it gets to that point though.
Being defined by things like a quote that I always tell myself is I wanted to put it on a shirt or something, which, by the way, I'm going to print shirts. I'll give you one.
Oh, that'd be
I was going to
sick.
give everybody that does the show.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
They're going to print next week, but don't be defined by your weaknesses. Be defined by how you overcome them.
There you go.
That's kind of how I try to live my life now. It's like I have these weaknesses, but I'm going to go ride 65 miles on my bike because I'm not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that have what I have that can't.
Yeah.
And now I'm one of them, hopefully for now, and I'll get back to that. But that's kind of what I want. If I could sum up this podcast in a nutshell, it would be kind of by that quote.
Yeah.
And, diving into people's lives and not just seeing people online and just knowing like this little bit about them.
Yeah.
But knowing that little bit and bringing them
it,
on.
The name with it too, with like less more, with the stuff like that, to me is like, because you can sit there and, and that's the thing about it too, I try to tell so many people, because there's so many people, it's like, oh, I do this, and I'm like this, and I'm that. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm in the same boat, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm some kind of like, oh, I'm the celebrity, I'm the most famous guy, listen to me, because I still feel like I'm a dummy with a lot of stuff. I still don't know the answers with a lot of things. I'm still, I mean, how many words did I get wrong trying to figure out what I was saying? Because, I mean, it's not nothing, but when people ask me, because I get all the time, and I'm more than happy, anybody who's listening, I'm more than happy if people are like, oh, can you have any pointers for this? I don't know all the answers, but I always tell people the number one, and I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about that, and I almost thought it was cliche, and I was going to do it, but I'm glad I didn't because of all that stuff with that. But with the whole Nike, just do it. Just don't let anything stop. Just do your thing, and whatever. Some people would define themselves with depression. Some people define themselves with their anxiety, with their illness, or what disease.
They let that one thing be who they are.
Yeah, and then they try to be like, oh, well, you can do this and you can do this thing, which that's fine, but set that aside. And I mean, if you can, because I mean, not that long ago, just the other day, I was in tears watching this dude who had no legs and no arms, and he was able to. Did you see that was going around everywhere on Facebook? There's a video of a guy has no arms, no legs, texting, taking selfies, able to drive, able to get into his world, do it, and he doesn't want help. And it's and something like that. It's like, and here people are complaining, fully capable. And I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, there's times before I started really pushing it, I made excuse after excuse. For the longest time I was like, well, I don't have a camera, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this, and then it's like you make all these excuses, and it came down to it, it's just like, there's people out there just killing it in the scene, doing stuff, who don't even they may not have that recognition or have that, because I get told all the time I got talented, amazing friends who can do so much stuff. And they're like, man, how do you get all the views? How do you stuff? Man, I just put myself out there. You know how many times I failed? You know how many times that I put myself out there and I had a video get, let's say 1,000 views and 2 likes,
Yeah.
I've had that. They're not, and people thinking all the time when they see it, they're like, oh, well, you're always hitting 1 million. No, I'm not. Like, I'm good. I'm good if I see 1,000, view, 30, like up to 5,000 views. I'm doing good. Even if I had 500 views on it and 20 likes, I'm doing good. That's to me.
I've had things that I've spent a week building and it gets 8 likes on Facebook.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do it for the likes, but it feels good.
It helps.
It's like applause.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then it's like when people share it or people talk about how amazing you are and how talented you are, or how funny you are, however,
you want that feedback.
Yeah, you get that because you're like, am I wasting my time? And then people are like, well, I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of this. Why be afraid whenever you can just do it and just get it out there and take that leap? Because there are so many more people out there who are so much more amazing than as far as their talent goes than I feel like that myself.
Well, and there's people that are recognized that I don't feel like are as good.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying I'm the best by any means, but I'll see people put some of their things out, and I'm like,
I see, and there's so many people,
and it's like blown up, and I'm like, well, it's because so and so endorsed it, like a celebrity retweeted it.
Exactly, yeah, and that's what I see. Like I tried out TikTok because it's kind of like Vine. You can do Vine stuff on it, and I could put my own original content. And I always thought it'd be fun to be able to do like little 15-second videos and try that out. So I created one. I started doing it. Well, then within 2 weeks, it started. Like I started getting followers. I started getting people like commenting and saying stuff.
I haven't seen TikTok. I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, see, and it's just like it's just. Did you hear? Have you ever heard of Musical.ly? Like when people lip sync on. It's like that, but Musical.ly turned into TikTok, and it's basically Vine and Musical.ly put together.
Okay,
so you can do the lip sync stuff, or you can make your own little original content. And there's a lot of talented people on there, but I see this just stupid stuff on there that I'm just like, and I get it. Some of it's a younger demographic. There's younger people, and there's some of them, but then there's some of them I'm just like that are so good that aren't getting that recognition. I'm like, they are funny. They're funny people, and there's some people that I know who are in the same line of entertainment as me, making videos, doing stuff like that, and they're not getting any credit. And there's some of them that I see.
It's frustrating to see that because you're like, I know that person's doing
exactly. Yeah,
they're doing this the same reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and then I'll see some of them because I'm not gonna lie. There's a few of them that I did make a comment earlier. For a while I was doing that, but now it's like if I make a video and it doesn't do as good, I will delete it because it doesn't fill up some of the stuff. And sometimes I just don't give it time. But I think more it's just I delete some things that are just. Not always, but sometimes I do because sometimes I get anxiety, but I'm like, it's not that funny. I don't think it's that funny, so I'll delete it and get rid of it. And there's some people like, hey, what happened to that?
I've done that before with like photographs. Like I post and I'm like, maybe that's not the best picture I've ever taken. And I try to be a professional, and I'm like, maybe that doesn't represent exactly what I do. Yeah. But then I'm like, I delete it, and I think, but. Do they always have to be? Like, do I always have to try to win an award with what I'm posting?
Yeah, and and I have a problem with doing that because I'll do that. Do too. I'll post something, I'm like, it only got 2 likes and it's got 50 views. Well, that means that there's 48 of them that wasn't, and it's like no shares. I'm like, maybe I'll delete it. I'll delete it too fast. Yeah. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I'm about to delete it and I don't, and then I'll do it and then it'll start blowing up. And then some people, and then I know a guy, he'll do a video and he'll post it and it will be like 1 like and he'll get like 2,000 views and he'll leave it up and it's been up there for like 3 years. I'm like, how do you like you have some like you're brave because I'm more brave because I would not do that. I wouldn't even attempt to do that because in my mind I'm like, they hated it. I'm gonna get rid of it, and continue to do that. And then some of them I'll just think, I'll be like, I know that's stupid. I know that's dumb. But I'll do it and it will blow up. And then there's something I'll put a lot of time into. I'm like, I need to focus on this and I'll do it. And then it doesn't do as good. It doesn't do horribly, but it doesn't do as good as I expected because I anticipate it to be a lot better. And
what's your first thought when you hit upload? Like when you make the video, you spend all the time making it, and then you're uploading it, and the little thing it's a little taking forever, like especially to YouTube or something.
Oh yeah,
the little blue, the blue line is loading and loading and loading. Yeah, and then it says like publish. Yeah, and you click that button, or on Facebook when you hit that button, what's the first thought that goes through your mind usually? Is it just like, relief that it's out there, or is it immediate anxiety? And do you check it like every 5 minutes?
I will. It depends. It's a combination of both. Like I'm relieved because I'm like, it's out there. I'm like, oh, I just did it. I'll just walk away from it.
Now it's in their hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
out of my control, kind of.
Yeah, but then I'll sit there and think about it, and a lot of times, like if I like, there's sometimes whenever I'll upload one. And then I do, like, when I'll set it down, I'll like, I gotta walk away. I'm just gonna walk away. I'm not gonna focus on it. But then I'm thinking about it, and I'll go and I'll check it, and I'll see like 5 notifications, and I'm like, oh man, this must be doing good. And I'll check it, and then it does it. Sometimes it'll be like 1 like on that, and then people will find my other stuff linked up to it, and then they'll start going through there, and then it starts those other ones. Yeah, they start going. But then if it depends, because like right now, like I don't know if tonight, but like I think tomorrow's whenever I'm gonna get everything back in the gear with everything. But like tomorrow I'm gonna post another video. And then whenever I post that video, I'm going to be a little nervous because I haven't done one in a couple of weeks. So it's like, man, I haven't done that. But I have been posting like little jokes and little stupid stuff here and there, you know, so that way I stay relevant. Because I feel like if I'm not, because there was a time whenever I think it was like 4 days, I was away from Facebook and I didn't touch it. And this was after I got my Facebook hacked, and I was away for like 3 months and I didn't post anything.
I remember that. You're like a
horrible. I was a
Arabic name.
Yeah, and it was bad. And when I came back, I was trying to like do little things. I did that stupid "That's Not My Name" song, and I was pointing at my name in the video that kind of put in with it, and I was doing those little things, and you know, there's some of that stuff that people caught, and it was just, I felt like it was real hard to get back into it and get to that groove for people to do that. But my stuff is, I try to stay relevant, but then there's some of them that like out of nowhere the other day. I think it was like yesterday or day before yesterday, my phone was blowing up, and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? One of my Oklahoma videos that I did, the one with the that was talking about like wild onion and doing that whole thing. Yeah. That one I posted 2 years ago, and then it got, you know how I guess whenever you share a video and then if it's a year later or whatever, it pops back up. Well, somebody reshared it, and then somebody shared it from there, and then it started going crazy, and it went from 9,000 views, and it's at like 25,000 views, and it just within a couple of days after 2 years, and people's like, oh, I just saw that video you posted a couple of days ago, and I'm like,
so you never know, like,
exactly
if you should keep it on there. It's probably difficult to know. It's like, well, right now maybe it's not blowing up, but in a year from now, maybe the right person sees it.
And that's why I tell some people who's like, they're like, and that's one of the things, they're like, oh, well, what was, you know, what do you have, what kind of piece of advice, and you know this, and they'll ask me like what I use to edit with, what I do, how do I get inspiration, what I think about, what makes me this, how am I so brave? And there's so many people like, you're so brave, and it's like, to me, it's just like, I mean, if you just do it and just give it, because I mean, if you just do it and get it done with and just put it out there and put yourself out there, people will see that and people will know. You know,
it's like you're doing something.
Exactly, yeah.
And doing something is better than doing nothing. And even if it's not great, not saying yours isn't great, but like saying, like, don't be afraid to put it out because of that. Because if it's not good, then you can be like, okay, well, at least I tried it.
From that. You take that, and that's what I tell everybody.
You move on to something else that maybe is great.
And I tell everybody who tries to, they put it out there, and they're like, oh, if I put it out there and I don't know how to do this, or I try to learn from this. Try it out, put it out there, and see what your niche is. See what it is. If you don't do, because I mean, even my beginning ones, if you look at like far back and like when I first started, and I only used my phone only because I would film it from my phone, put it on Splice, edit it, and then post it automatically. And it would take me like a little bit of time. I held my phone like straight up. I didn't turn it sideways. I didn't have a logo at the end. I didn't do anything. I still don't even, like, I just use the same one I have for the past few years. Using that same one, I haven't changed anything up. And there's things that I picked up, and I looked at my past stuff and saw what people liked, and I saw what people disliked, and then I started trying to grow from that and started making it to where it is. So it's like, okay, people like this, people like that. This is working. That's not working. And it's like, did I do a bad thing being the guy who only wears a wig and dressing up as a girl because people know me only as that? Am I just the Oklahoma guy? How's that going to help me in the future? Is it going to help me around here? Right. Yeah, and do a really good thing here. But let's say I want to go try out in, you know, California and like let people know who I'm there. We don't get any of your Oklahoma references. Am I spelling there?
But they might see that as a character. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, insert another name instead of Oklahoma and pretend that he's doing that.
Exactly.
Like, if he can do that character, you know, in the seeing the variety of things, I think is good. If you only did one thing, I feel like that would be worse, because then they'd be like, well, we've seen that character, but we've never really seen you do anything else. Yeah. And I feel like that, to me, would be the best. And, you know, my wife's a theater teacher, so I see, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff. And like, people who can play multiple parts get cast more often. That's just how it goes. Yeah. They might get cast in the same type of role a lot, but that's because they can do other things, and they might gravitate towards that role because it's more fun. They might be like more of a character actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's more fun for them. Like my wife is more. She does a lot of the character acting and stuff, and if I was an actor, which I'm not, but I would want to be something like that, where you almost put on a mask, and you can kind of get lost in that character rather than just being yourself.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be hard. Just play yourself in this movie. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
like, make me like a witch or something. Like, I'll play like. You can kind of play off of that character. So.
Well, see, that was one of the things that, like, with going back to what I was talking about before, when people, and it's been good and bad, because there's some of them, like I said, for instance, when the guy was like, oh, well, you did amazing and you killed it, did this, but all I see is you being that basically joking. It's like, and when I talked to him about it, he was like, well, I mean, you're doing good with your stuff, but people just don't take it serious. People aren't taking you serious. And it's like, is that really what people feel like? But then when I got all these people who are wanting me to do stuff, like I have a friend who he was making a film. Hopefully it comes out within a certain amount of time, but films take a while. But I played a gay guy in it, and he was just like, he's like, I want you to do it because I know you can do it really well. And I'm like, he's like, just do whatever, just be yourself. Okay, I'm not gay, but but then I was like, and then I felt bad because it's like, okay, one, you could have got a guy who's gay who could be really good at it, who might want to play the part, or he's like, no, but, and I kind of felt weird about it because I was like, I don't care, I'll play whatever, I have nothing wrong with it, but I just don't want to take away the talent from somebody else who might be a good actor who could play the role. So I did it, and everybody said I did really well, and I was doing that, and then it was just like, he was like, oh, well, you just, all this stuff, you know how to do it, and I'm like, but I'm not gay, I'm just, just so that he knows,
acting,
exactly, and that's what he said, he goes, no, but you could be anybody, he's like, if you wanted to play a black guy, you could be a black guy, okay, but then when you start talking about something with that starts becoming more of a issue, because it's like, okay, one, you're not being yourself, and then two, you're being like, oh, you can't be a gay person because 2019 you're making fun of gay people.
I was going to say, nowadays, you do that, and it's like, no, I'm not homophobic at all. I'm just playing a character.
Exactly,
but they're like, well, it depends on who it is. Of course, there's all kinds of different types of people in this world, but some people might see that as making fun of someone, and
that's what
taking it away from it. You don't want to do that.
Not to talk too much about the film or too much about that part, but one of the parts it had to, like, I guess some of the parts they showed to some friends and some family or some people, and that when they saw my part, the guy, my character is wanting to not accept that he's gay, and he's wanting to try to fight it, and he's trying to do that, it was kind of hard, to be, because I was like, because you kind of almost have to put yourself in that situation and relate it to those different things, and he was trying to fight it, and then when some of the people saw it and they were talking about it, some of them were like, well, that guy is he hates gays because he doesn't want to be gay. It's like, but you're not getting the point of what it is, and so it's stuff like that, and then it starts taking away, because it's like, did you do it too believable? Was I that too good of an actor? Was I not that believable? Was I not? Did I do something to make them think that, to where it's like that? And I did a couple. I don't touch that stuff anymore, and I feel bad about it because I don't try to touch that stuff right now, with that, because I don't want people to get the wrong impression, but I also don't want it to be a non-subject to not talk about, because I don't want it to feel, because I got really good friends, who are gay, who are, bi, all that stuff. And like you were saying, I don't, it doesn't bother me at all. Be yourself, live and let live.
I've got family members and friends, some good friends. It doesn't bother me at all. But I see how some people maybe they don't know anybody. And so their view is very different, and they don't think that they're doing anything wrong by mimicking somebody. And really, it's like highly offensive to someone. And
that's why
I don't touch those subjects too much either, because I don't want to offend anybody by accident. Because if I ever did, it would be total accident. I'm just trying to treat everybody the same.
That's why I still kept my stuff, because I'm like I said, love is love. If you love, as long as you're, to me, I think it's weird to marry an animal, and it's like the whole mother son thing, stuff like that. I'm not big on that. But like I said, it's man and woman and
I'm open minded, but the second you
and
mix the gene pool together,
and I feel like if you don't, because for a long time I was like, man, I'm not good, because I wrote a couple ideas. Like one of the ones I did was going hunting with a gay guy, because I went with a friend and he was gay and he was like that, and it was like that, and then it was like the video I did, and I had another one I wrote, but I didn't film it. I told a couple people about it's like a gay person in an apocalypse. Like if something happened,
Yeah.
what would they be doing? Well, I had a friend who I talked to him and he was like, oh my gosh, I would have to grab my favorite shirt. You know, and he was one of those ones who's like, there's a couple of difference of him, but he was like that. He's like super gay, and that's just how he is. And he's more like,
and that's
more
drawing
like
from a real person.
Exactly.
So it's like, hey, I'm not making fun. This is what he did.
And if I don't touch it, if I don't hit that part and I don't want to say make fun of it because people are like, oh, you're too busy. And I get people get my art and what I do, and it's not my main thing, but like on my side thing, I get people get confused because they're like, well, you just make fun of people. That's how you get. There's some people like I went to the store not long ago, and I walked in, and this Indian woman was just like, she's standing there, she goes, I know who you are. She was a cashier, and she's like, I know who you are, and I don't find you funny. I don't think it's funny that you make fun of us Native Americans, and you're a white guy, and you just need to back off. And I'm like, whoa, you know, and I'm like, that's not, please don't get that impression of me, because I'm not, but I feel like if you don't, it's one of those things that like, you know, I'm a white Mexican guy, like, you know, I got both, you know, I got Native American in me, you know, but I'm not sitting there, but I feel like if you don't touch, I'm trying to get the right point across, if you don't touch those parts and you're too scared of it, then people could get the wrong impression. I feel like everybody are people, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter anything, you're gay, straight, you know, black, white, Indian, anything. You're still a person. So if I'm gonna make a joke about something, I'm not making fun of it. And I have friends, some like a close friend of mine who went through a hard time, you know, gay and everything, hates my stuff, hated the gay jokes, blocked me on Facebook, doesn't follow me anymore, has nothing to do with me, won't talk to me. I talked to a mutual friend. You're gay bashing. What do you mean gay bash? I have no problem with him at all. He hated it and doesn't have nothing to do with me. And that's where I want people to not get the wrong impression of me, because it's like, I have no problem with any of this stuff. And I try not to touch like religion. I don't touch politics. I'll mess around with the Mary Fallon stuff, but I try not to talk about any of that stuff, because I mean, you're always bound to offend somebody. But when it comes to like people and who people are, I try to steer away from like the stuff like talking about the gay stuff, but I don't want to not touch it because I don't want people to think I'm afraid of it.
Well, I include it too, because it's all part of the same thing. I mean, if you are open-minded enough, you can include any subject into comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And
I think that's the point of comedy, is to like, I mean, you can see some comedians that will tell like a racist joke. I'm not racist, but that doesn't mean I didn't think it was a funny joke. Is that you're like, that was. Whoa, sorry, people listening. I think my daughter's screaming. But that doesn't mean that they're even racist. You know, like Sarah Silverman will say extremely racist jokes, but she does it in a way that sheds light on the fact that there are really people like that. She's not racist like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it too, is like, because I talked to a guy who does comedy and he does some skits and everything, and he was talking about it, and he said, and that's what because he brought it up, he's like, make sure you don't do religion. I was like, oh, I don't mess with religion, I don't mess with politics, and he goes, gays, and I was like, and I kind of looked at him, and he was like, I don't mess with those people. And then I started becoming that guy. It's like, those people, like, if you start saying it, you're putting them in a category that's like separate, you know. They may not have the same thoughts, but I mean, love is love. They still have a heart, they still have love, they still have feelings, they have a soul, you know. They're people. So if I don't try to touch stuff, so whenever people see me and I play a gay person in something, or I do one where I'm like, oh, you know, like that, I'm not making fun of anybody. Or if I talk about Native American stuff, it's what I grew up, because I grew up in a Native American household, you know, like I know all about that stuff. I've been around.
Or you can play on to a stereotype.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do. Like it's not offensive, or at least I guess it could be, depending on how you do it. But that's not the aim of it. And there definitely are people that they might do that with the intention of it being offensive, but that's never the term or the intention behind something that you would do or something that I would do. So,
I had a guy who I did some stuff with, and we were doing. It was kind of like a podcast, but it was more like a video. He didn't really record. He just kind of did a video, and it was like a talking thing. And he was saying something, and he brought up one of the times I did one of those videos with the stuff with the gay thing, and he brought up, and he started kind of talking about it, and he was kind of riffing on it a little bit, you know, nothing offensive. He made one comment and said something about he doesn't understand why transgender people don't date bis because it's 2 in 1 or something like that. And when he said that, I didn't even say it, but he said that and made that comment, which is whatever, however you feel about it. But people started sending me all kinds of like hate, and they're like, "You're a beep beep beep," and they're like flipping out. And if I had the saw, all the stuff that they were saying, and it was just bad, and it was and they were going after me, and I'm like, I didn't even say it, but they were like, you were associated with, you were a part of it. Some of them were like, I'm gonna whenever I get my finish, I'm gonna, you may be, you're gonna get whooped up, by a guy who used to be a girl. How does that make you feel? It's like, I didn't even say it, So then that's another where it kind of ties back into me kind of being careful who I work with and associate with, because it's like some of these people, it's like they may be funny and talented, but it's like if they're out there making jokes and making comments and everything, and in my mind I'm like, oh, that didn't sound that bad, but then whenever I really broke it down and thought about how it made other people feel, I was like, I can see that. I can.
I'm planning on having somebody on who's transgender, and I know a few people. So, because I'm even myself, as open-minded as I am, there's things that I don't know because I'm not in that world. It's like I am, like I know I have friends, but I'm not transgender, so I don't. There's a lot of things. It's like being bullied. If you've never been bullied, you don't know what it feels like. So I can only imagine what it's like to grow up being transgender or just being gay or whatever it is when you're that young.
No, definitely.
And you don't maybe understand what it is. So I want to explore that world.
Yeah, and I give everybody props because it's like, when it comes to stuff like that too, because it's like, you're trying to figure out who you are, and if you decide it's like exactly who you are, what you want to be, who you want to be, and some of them still have troubles with it, and I give props every day because we come from a world and we're in a world where that stuff like that, there's so many people who's against stuff like that.
It's getting better for sure, but it's still a battle. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. And
I have groups of people, I can't even tell that I'm part Mexican. Like, I can't say that because if they said they're so racist about stuff, and whenever they find out and they hear about that,
friends like from high school that I still kind of talk to that they're racist. I'm like, God, I can't. And I don't hang out with them really, but like I might see them every now and then, and we don't. It's not like we sit around and talk about it. We just talk about whatever we're doing or reminisce about things that we did. We don't get into religion or politics or anything like that. But.
Yeah, and there's some people out there, like people that I know who the way they talk about females. I'm like, man, I have a daughter. You can't be talking like that. And then they talk about like like with some of the racist stuff that they say, and I'm just like, how can you still to this day
I get
feel
so
that
uncomfortable.
way?
I get uncomfortable when people are even just like, if I'm with a guy friend and they're like, damn, look at that girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, I feel weird. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like,
I've always been like that too.
Yeah,
like
she's pretty. I just feel weird, like, saying it like that, even though it's like, it's fairly harmless, and
but still just that
compliment.
They have that mindset to be like that in a way, because it's like, if you were to say that to the girl or in front of the girl, how would that make that girl feel? And it comes down to it's like, in reality,
it's probably very uncomfortable and flattering to an extent. Maybe after the fact, she'd be like, well, I mean, he was telling me he liked my boobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Had a nice ass.
What's crazy is there's some girls out there that I know personally, and I would never talk to them like that, and but they like that kind of stuff. Some of them like that, and they straight up say that. They're like, oh, I like that. Like, I like whenever guys, I post this stuff, because I have a friend. I don't really talk to her too much, but she gets and I made a joke one time, and I was just like, you like, if because she was like, she'll post a picture of her like in her bra and her like boobs are like out and everything, and like kind of covered up, and she'll get like 800 900 likes. I did my hair, and she get like 800 likes on it, and and then I'll sit there, and I posted something not long ago, and she thought it was so funny, and she's like, oh yeah, she's like, it's crazy, how I get the likes, and that that you don't get. And she was kind of being kind of snarky about it and everything. I was kind of like, well, I mean, I don't have that ability.
Those are kind of cheap likes.
Yeah.
I mean,
but then I looked at it, and it was all the guys.
I was gonna say, how all those likes, is it mixed?
Yeah. No,
your videos are probably fairly mixed.
For the most part.
There's probably a lot of girls that watch it too, and there's probably not a lot of girls liking that picture of her.
Yeah, but what's crazy about it is she came to me like after all that time went by, and she was just like, hey, and it's kind of like that image thing we were talking about, and she's like, yeah, all those. I was like, hey, you're doing good on Facebook, things like that. I mean, people are liking your stuff, because I kind of brought that back up, and she's like, yeah, but have you seen the stuff that they say that they put on there? Well, I mean, then stop doing it. She goes, yeah, but I need that. It makes me feel better about myself, to see that.
Yeah.
But you see all the likes, and that's one thing, and people heart it and everything and send that stuff, but all the messed up stuff that they're saying to you and sending to you and everything that can hide behind that, that's not. And she's like, no, it's not worth it at all. Then why do it? Oh, I kind of need that. I'm like, you don't though. She's a pretty girl. She can, she's doing all this stuff. It's like, you don't have to have that. And she, you know,
hopefully you don't have to do that to get likes.
Yeah,
well, I mean, some people kind of do, I guess, but need to try to find something.
Exactly. It's like hopefully she found somebody who's like treats her, like, you know, tells her how beautiful she is without having to deal with all that stuff. And they go through and filter all the pervs and everything.
Give her real life likes.
Exactly. Yeah, without having to worry about that and stuff, and put yourself out there, because people not only think of you as a bad person. I mean, most people see that, I'm like, oh, she's gross, she's a slut. It's like, she's not at all like that. She just likes to get that attention, and you know, it's fine. Some people like it.
And it works.
You know, I put on a wig and put on fake boobs to get attention, so you know, I understand. Some way, I just don't look that good. You know,
I've got that wig. I haven't put it on yet, on the mannequin that's sitting behind me. But
I need to get my stuff. Like, I have a bag. I have a bag full of wigs and a box with like props and wigs that are just piled up. And then when I think of an idea, I'll bust it out, and then it'll be like the other day I pulled it out and it had like handcuffs and like a badge and a couple other things all knotted up in it. And I was just like, man, I was like, I gotta figure something out.
Yeah, those wigs get nasty too. They like get all knotted up, especially if they're pretty cheap.
Yeah,
my wife will get some that they're pretty expensive. You know, you got to really be careful with them.
Yeah, I have a couple of those too.
You can like comb them. Or you feel like a psycho combing your wig, you know.
Yeah. I had a girl who had she was moving, and she had a collection of like old Halloween costumes and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And she had like some professional wigs, like legit ones. And she's like, she messaged me. She's like, hey, would you want to have any of these? You know, like that's just a bunch of like random stuff, handful of crazy stuff. And then the 2 wigs were like real human hair wigs. And she gave me, she like bought them and spent a lot of money on it. She's like, yeah, you can have them. And I was like, this feels creepy because it like felt different, and you're like holding them, and you're like, and then when you're wearing it, it's like you know somebody else's wig, you know, hair, and you're just like, this is weird. I just felt so creeped out. I've only used them a couple of times, so I'm just like kind of like, I don't know, I feel like a weirdo, you know, like just having all that weird stuff in there. But and like I said, it's fun stuff, and like, you know, people who are, you know, still listening and everything, you know, when people talk about, you know, like where to start and everything, and like how to start, no matter what it is you're doing, I think that's what just type back is like, just do it, just put yourself out there.
That's what I would tell. If I told my younger self anything, which that was going to be one of my questions, is what would you tell your younger self? And that would be mine, is like, just put stuff out there, make stuff. Don't worry so much about what people think, and just make as much stuff as you possibly can, and do what it is that makes you happy. And with this podcast, like the title, you know, it kind of comes from the art world, where it's a KISS, the keep it simple, stupid. In the art world, it's like try not to overcomplicate things, but I've always liked the term less is more, and I never realized the acronym that came with that, which is LIMP. Yeah. So I didn't really think that one through.
Oh yeah, that's but,
unless you count the T and the less is more podcast. But that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, I got this microphone, and I can plug in external mics to it, so you can have a mic, but I didn't, and I'm not saying I won't ever do that, but for right now, I've got this set up to where it should pick us up pretty well. You don't have to worry about somebody like holding the mic far away and coming up close.
Yeah, because I thought my setup having like the table with the mics. And
I kind of wanted to get that, and then you could touch your mouth to the pop filter or whatever,
and it takes a lot, but sometimes that takes a little bit from the personal side. You know,
and you have to stay in that one spot. Right here, I can sit back a little bit, and this is still an experiment, but I'm trying to keep it as relatively simple. You know, I've got this backup mic, which, crazy enough, we've been 2.5 hours.
Oh, 2.5 hours. Wow.
So,
the first one.
The very first one, which is fine with me. I always just say an hour. Yeah. Or that's what I've kind of been saying, just to start with. But if it goes past that, fine.
Oh yeah. That's how I get a problem. I mean, I know
I never knew how long it would go. I'm like, well, if I can hit an hour, I'll be good.
Yeah.
But,
and then the thing about it is, like, you'll notice like sometimes like different time frames, because like some of them I've been on, you know, there's some of them like the awkward, you know, because I mean, I've talked to you a handful of times and we've communicated, but I've talked to people I've only like, I never even met. I only knew through Facebook. We had like conversations, and it didn't go that long at all, you know. And then I'd try to talk a lot, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah," and then they'd ask me a question, and I found myself only being the one talking. What's good is you talk too, and made it feel more comfortable, and made it like.
But I've got these notes here just in case, which I hardly. We kind of naturally went through them, and that's what I was hoping. Like, just because I have questions that I was curious about, and I put those on here, but it's not like I forgot them. I just thought, well, if there's, you know, with it being recorded, and it would be even more uncomfortable if it was being videoed for me, because I'd feel
it's like
feel weird, you know, and like just going to the whole anxiety thing, like being filmed.
Well, that's what's cool too. Is like you can like on this, you can like scratch your nose and not look like you're
yeah, exactly.
You pull out something.
Yeah, the
like,
people that are listening to this, they have no idea. I have no pants on. Right now.
And, I took mine off too to make them feel comfortable. So
nothing at all. I still have my socks on.
We just look like Winnie the Pooh over here. Just trying to make them feel comfortable. No, that's the thing, and that's the cool thing about it because I know people who you're talking about it, and they do that kind of stuff. They wake up in the morning and just do a podcast, and it's like you don't have to worry about like what you're wearing or what you're doing.
Exactly.
I know that there's a lot more people who are more prone to doing like the more video podcast type stuff. But I mean, there's people commuting and doing things like that, and sometimes when it lasts a little too long, like I know myself as like a good hour or whatever. But if you keep them intrigued and talk about things that people actually care about,
that's my thing. Is if I felt like, because I love podcasts and I'm a huge podcast fan. And so I feel like if I was on a podcast, you can kind of feel it winding down.
Oh, yeah.
And if you keep it going, then it's like, well, maybe you're only doing it so you can hit a certain number.
Now, some people just bring up random stuff and start talking about stuff and like start talking about topics of like, oh, yeah, is this what Trump was doing? It's like, what does that matter right now? Like, this
if at an hour, because we were like, we hit an hour. We didn't know how long we were going. If at that point we were like, okay, and we felt like it needed to end, then that could have been the end of it. But I didn't have that feeling, so we just kept going.
Yeah.
So.
And there's sometimes too, like I was talking to David, and I was talking about even coming back, and just doing more, like talking more about stuff, new things.
I'd like to do a part 2 for sure. And like we can wait a little while, let you do some stuff, and come back.
Try out my horror stuff because that's my big project right now. Is I'm getting my horror side out, and I'm still doing the comedy stuff, but I'm going to focus more on that and kind of get a different side of things so people can start seeing. Hopefully, I can be successful as like Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith and with Jordan Peele with their stuff, because those are two, and Eli Roth, but he doesn't really do too much comedy, but he does have a lot of comic relief and stuff. Those are the ones I really like look forward, to and everything. Because I mean, everybody when I say that, they're like, oh man, you don't like, some of the John Carpenter. My favorite movie of all time is They Live. Have you ever watched that one? With Roddy Piper with the glasses.
I know, and not just because of the Obey stuff, the Shepard Fairey.
My favorite movie.
I've never actually watched that movie, but I would like to.
Yeah, you should check that one out.
But I would like to do. I mean, of course, this is just the first one, but I would like to do this for a long time, and definitly have you come back.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely. I'm all about it. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more we can talk about. Okay. Probably go ahead and wrap it up for today.
Yeah,
we've done 2 hours, almost 2:40. But I wanted to end on. I was going to end on the what would you tell your younger self? But we kind of touched on that. So I will say you do have a mullet for the people that are listening.
I got this.
Does your mullet have a name? Like a type?
No.
Because I know there's like the Kentucky Waterfall, which is my favorite. Yeah. Or the Camaro. There's like all these different names. Yeah. Hillbilly or the Tennessee Mud Flap.
Yeah, we were calling it the Oklahoma tailgate or something like that, or Tahlequah tailgate. Like talking about it, like laying it down.
That's a good one. I used to have an impression of like we would go to Ozfest when we were younger. Yeah, I'd have an impression of a guy headbanging with a mullet, and I'd go like this with my hand and like flip it up and down. And,
I seriously debated about getting rid of it, but it's become more of a thing. Like, I mean, people call me mullet man and say stuff like that. I'm like, there's the mullet. It's
I had one in second grade. It was pretty good.
Yeah, see, mine was a kid, and then some people that walk in like just touch it. I'm like, can I touch it? I'm like, it's better than the one that used to stick their fingers in my giant ear holes when I used to have them. But I was like, I'm okay with them touching it as long as I keep it clean. And washing it.
All right, man. Well, that will wrap it up. So thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, see you later. All right, man.